Morning. Let's start off with your plan, potential plan to at least reopen. What do you have, about 3,100 employees that are furloughed, 34 different restaurants. What are you hearing from the states in which you operate? What are your expectations in terms of when you may start to see or start to reopen some of your restaurants?
So people are, really optimistic, cautiously optimistic, I might add. So we're hearing more, really June would be the first time we'd really start to ramp it up. And then we're hearing things like, well, you're going to have some social distancing. It may be 45, 50% occupancy. So those are the things we're hearing now. And then also we're working on contingency plans in terms of making the guests feel safe and secure when they're in there. Will it be taking temperatures? Will it be having them wear masks? What will the social distancing be? Certainly having our staff wear masks and taking their temperatures on a daily basis will be something we'll be doing. So it's a slow ramp up. No, I don't think anyone's anticipating that we're just going to open the doors and it's going to be business as usual. I think people are sort of scarred and scared at this particular point.
And how do you approach staffing? You know, we've heard anecdotally that there are certain people who are getting the additional 600 in unemployment benefits that may not be that quick to come back from that in terms of staffing these restaurants. As well, I would assume you've got to sort of try to understand what demand may be. So how do you think about how many people you'll actually have coming back to work?
Right. So being honest, I don't think the demand will be what it was when we closed down. Given the fact that there are so many people out of work right now, I don't anticipate it being difficult, having difficulty in bringing people in. I think that there'll be enough people that want jobs if the ones who are employed with us decide not to come back or stay on unemployment.
Roger, I wanted to ask about this lawsuit you brought against your insurer, because I think it's a really big story that's happening out there, not just from your restaurant, but a lot of these celebrity chefs are trying to get their insurers to cover the losses. As I understand these insurance policies, even if they exclude pandemics, they're meant for wind and fire and rain and natural disasters that cause physical damage. That's not what you're talking about here. So what are you claiming from them?
Well, it's interesting. When you're in the restaurant business, it's a cash flow business. So that anything that interrupts that really endangers a business for a particular period of time. And look, in the restaurant business, if you're from the Northeast, you anticipate that there are going to be snowstorms and bad weather. There could be recession. So you kind of weather that. But this is for the unknown. And that's why people take business interruption insurance. That's why they pay so much for it. In our particular case, it was an all-risk policy. We've been in business a long time, and we understand there was a lot of risks out there. So this particular policy did not have any exclusions. It did not have an exclusion for the pandemic or virus. And it was issued March 1st. Which was well after the time that people understood that there was a pandemic internationally. So if it was going to be excluded, it should have been excluded. We entered into that agreement paying business interruption, not knowing that there was going to be a pandemic, but we did want to mitigate any potential risk because when there's a closure, it really impacts the sustainability of the business. Now, this has been 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Could it be more? It will. So this is really the insurance companies to step up and pay on these claims.
But I mean, if the insurance companies had to pay for all of this loss of business out there, I'm not sure we would have an insurance industry. Shouldn't it be on the government, which mandated you to close the restaurant, not necessarily on the insurance industry to cover the losses?
That's a very good point, and I think a lot of states are wrestling with that right now to see whether they should be able to force the insurance companies, to pay off on that and legislate like that. There are rumors out there that a lot of the insurance companies are now lobbying Washington for their own bailout fund. It actually would be far more efficient for the insurance companies to take care of the businesses than the government trying to leapfrog the insurance companies and provide stimulus to all those businesses. It'd be far more efficient.
Roger, speaking of the government, did you try to avail yourselves of the PPP program or perhaps the Main Street Lending Program as well in terms of trying to get some aid for your restaurants?
Yes, we have. And we have some of the problem with the PPP. It's that it's a little bit confusing and very complicated in terms of how you use it. We do have some. Our intention is to pay it back, and we'll see how it happens. But I think when it originally came out, it was to be an 8-week period and cover you to get you to open up, and so you can provide funds to reopen. Because the period of time has extended beyond the 8 weeks, it's confusing to a lot of businesses in terms of how they can use the money, what can they use the money on, and the payback period. The payback period, as Congress intended, was going to be 10 years, and that's been changed now to 2 years. So there's a lot of confusion and complication going on. I know the National Restaurant Association is trying to work with Congress to modify some of the stipulations so it works the way it was intended to.